If the output of this channel has showcased anything, is that I have no central focus and just talk about whatever I think is interesting in any given moment. Granted, with a small number of games covered here as an exception, my work primarily focuses on the independent scene. A lot of this is because there's still a lot of interesting stuff being made here and there, and we can find stuff that's either a neat throwback, a contemporary spin on an old favorite, something experimental and new, or even something so extremely fucking weird that it has you going.
It makes no damn sense. Compels me, though.
The topic of this week's video is in the decidedly contemporary spin of an old favorite game. I'm Hamoud, and I'm here to tell you what's good about Valfaris. Valfaris is a run-and-gun style action platformer developed by Steel Mantis, the developer of Slain Back from Hell. I got both of these in a 2-pack last Christmas for $1 because I wanted more games to play on my brother's Steam Deck, and I thought to myself, this is neat, I'll make a video about this in the new year. And 11 months later, I'm keeping that promise. I know I'm slow, but I wanted to talk about this because I needed something quick and I'm in the middle of getting things sorted for Game of the Year. With that out of the way, let's get started. You play as Prince Therion, son of Emperor Vroll, who's holed himself up in the fortress world of Valfaris and disappeared off the star charts long ago, only to reappear over the dying purple star of Sol Mooney. Realizing this is the only opportunity to track down his father, Therion, armed only with a plasma blade energy pistol and his ship's AI, Hecate, makes a somewhat questionable landing on Valfaris' surface, and from there, proceeds to rip and tear his way through the planet's defenses and hostile wildlife to kill his traitorous father. It is an incredibly metal setup for a video game, which makes sense considering that Steel Mantis' previous game, Slain, was also incredibly metal. The difference here is that this is sci-fi tinged metal as opposed to the usual Norse/Nordic tinged metal that we saw in Slain. Everything about the presentation of Valfaris looks like one of those heavy metal art pieces that you see spray painted on the sides of panel vans from the 1970s. It's dirty, it's grody, it's more than a little gory. Nah, who am I kidding? It's incredibly gory. And it all just goes for a look that's essentially Warhammer 40k by way of Metalocalypse. Hell, this game's story is a reverse to Horus Heresy, where the Emperor is the one who got corrupted by chaos instead of his favorite son Horus, but nowhere near as grimdark. If you don't understand any of those words, then congratulations, you're a normal person. Slight snark aside, it's a fun revenge story that doesn't take itself too seriously. The rest of the presentation also shows up for the increased level of metal, my favorites being both the music, which has been subtly going on in the background, and the fact that when Therion gets a new weapon, he just headbangs to a loud-ass metal riff. It's the best. All of these aesthetic flourishes are great and do a lot to convey the vibe Valfaris is going for, which is to say, sheer fucking brutality. This fits perfectly because of Valfaris' gameplay. As I mentioned in the beginning, it's a run-and-gun platformer done in the style of Contra, but the difference is in the way the game is structured. There are 10 stages in total, and the weapons aren't power-ups, but permanent additions to your arsenal that you can switch between. You start with a plasma pistol and energy sword, and like with the earlier scene headbanging, you see the first scene of the destroyer weapons. These are your big fucking guns, or BFGs if you're feeling PG. They range from the minigun called Hellwraith, they have a shotgun called the Hellhammer, the Man of War, which is just a heavy flamer from 40k, a fully automatic rocket launcher that's fittingly called the Envoy of Destruction, and the Sky Splitter, which is just a really good railgun. They can kill most regular enemies in a single shot, dispatch heavy enemies with ease, and are your workhorse weapons in boss fights. They all feel suitably powerful in different ways, like one focusing on AoE, the other on crowd control, or just straight up shitting damage. Using those weapons eats through your energy meter. How do you get energy back? By attacking enemies! And to attack, you're going to need good melee weapons like your base sword, which has increased energy regeneration, the Bastard, a big fuck-off sword that has like a longer range. I don't know how to better describe it. It's just a bigger version of your sword. And an energy whip that is more suited for defensive play thanks to its longer range. Some of these weapons in all categories can be found in secrets, but I never found any of them in my playtime. Oh, and before I forget, there's also the main ranged weapons of your starting class pistol that can be upgraded to have a spread shot a la Contra, the Wolflight, which is a flame pistol that summons ghosts when it kills stuff, Roll Sidearm, or Pappy's Machine Pistol as I like to call it, that's just a straight up machine pistol, and Therion's Call, which is a handheld railgun. Are you noticing a pattern with the weaponry? If the answer is they're all metal as fuck, then you're right on the money. Here, have a cookie. But you're going to need all of them because Valfaris is a fucking meat grinder. And I'm not just saying that because of the amount of viscera that's on screen. I mean in the sense of you are going to be dying and restarting and dying and restarting and dying and restarting and so on and so forth. This is where the game gets interesting because it introduces the resurrection idols as its spin on difficulty. Resurrection idols can be used to set up checkpoints that save your place in a given stage and are placed rather generously. Or, you can keep them and increase the amount of maximum health and energy you have at the cost of no checkpoints, and possibly having to redo the entire level over again. It's a pretty smart way of incorporating risk and reward, and while I'm a coward and simply went with having less health but more frequent checkpoints, it made Valfaris feel less like a meat grinder and more like a meat mallet. But after a while, the difficulty starts to get more manageable, and eventually, you can just clear entire sections of bosses that kept giving you trouble, and it feels awesome because it would lead to me getting into a flow state, and I was zoned in on how to more efficiently murder stuff. It felt weirdly great because of that near zen state being a result of getting the patterns down. Valfaris is a game that I spent $1 on, not expecting much, but ended up getting pleasantly surprised by. Between its interesting approach to risk-reward balance, killers are weapons, and difficulty curve that starts steep and levels up into a more manageable challenge via mastery, combined with the essence of metal being just saturated enough to really tie the whole thing together. And to get this out of the way, I'd buy that for $1! That was really fucking silly. But thanks for sticking around to the end. If you did, be sure to like and subscribe. It helps me out a bunch. Thank you, and have a wonderful day.